Hello YouTube, it's Alec here with you Underground. Aren't you surprised to see me? So, my funny story, my laptop's hard drive crashed, and then it was lost in the mail, and by the time I got it back, I was actually enrolled in the computer independent study, and by the time I got it back, I had to do the entire study in like 3 weeks when it was supposed to be like half a semester long. So my life's kind of not been my own for a little while, and I'm sorry to punish you guys for that, but sometimes life comes first. So let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I'm not really going to like try to defend excuses. Well, how's the game been for me? Well, I'm not going to lie. Exciton Night and Arc Night are like super expensive. Like, my budget is just not cut out to handle them at the time being, so I've been playing around with a lot of ideas on how I might avoid buying them. So for those of you who are interested, this is going to be my first segment in decks that you can use that avoid like $40, $60 for an Arc Night and another like 70, 80 for an Exciton Night. So the first deck is going to be one that has been like very popular, has topped a lot of regionals lately. That deck's going to be Lay Frogs. So, as many of you know, I love playing rogue decks, but I will not play a rogue deck that is not optimal at any given time. So this is one of my favorite rogue decks. I don't know if you know that based on the channel history, because I haven't played in a while. But the reason I didn't play it is because Dragon Rulers essentially did what Frogs did, but better. So when everyone was like main decking side deck cards for Dragon Rulers, you couldn't really play this. Now that Dragon Rulers are out of the way, this is back, and I must tell you, like, it is pretty fun. And it's pretty competitive too, so let's start out. 3 Swap Frog, pretty much, this deck gets to be Swap Frog.deck a lot, which is disappointing, but not really, because it's a good card, and it's a fun win condition. To get to your Swap Frogs, you have 3 Des Frogs, also fuels your Rodent Totems. Next, we have 3 Poison Draw Frogs. People cut him to 2 a lot, and also to 1, but, here's 2 Rodent Totems, and at one point, this Poison Draw Frog was a 3rd Rodent Totem, but I've just found myself, like, not needing Rodent Totems as much. I'd much rather have things to banish for Rodent Totem, because with people not main decking, like, banishing stuff for Dragon Rulers, like, none of your frogs actually end up getting banished, so you're always going to prefer, I always think you're going to prefer things that you can banish for Rodent Totem in order to get your rank 2s off, especially because a lot of the good rank 2s, like, don't require 3, so Rodent Totem at 3 is like not necessary, but at the same time, I want to have as much to banish as possible because that's going to be your renewable energy source that's going to win you the game. Rounding out the frog engine, 1 Treeborn Frog. He's always the frog you dump first. He lets you do a lot of like standalone plays, just gives you a chum blocker for your life points, good all around, lets you make rank 1s, but you don't really need more than 1 because like I said, people aren't really main decking stuff to banish, so usually once you get your frogs engraved, they stay there, or you banish them for Rodent Totem, which you have a convenient way to get those out. So going to the next part of this engine, here we're going to use the Mother Grizzly engine, 3 Mother Grizzly. At worst, he gets you to your Swap Frog and gets your deck going. At best, he gets you into your 2 Sea Lancers in order to recycle your banished materials and win the resource game. You can also crash him to get another one of him, to crash him to get another one of him, which puts water monsters in your grave, which is important for a plethora of, title. But a lot of useful things you can do with Mother Grizzly, but I must warn you, like, you gotta watch out for that Bear Pop, and you gotta watch out for that Marksman Pop. Those are very relevant. You don't want to get, like, your Mother Grizzly lost to those. A lot of the times, like, it's just safer to resolve your Mother Grizzly yourself and just suck up the life points. 2 Sea Lancer, only need 2 because, like, he's tutorable, but pretty much your win condition in the deck is going to be, like, dumping a bunch of frogs to grave, using Rodent Totems to, like, hold out, get the boss monsters, and then you drop one of these guys, bring all your banished frogs back, and then you can use all those frogs, even if they can like make them miss timing, which is a lot easier now than it used to be. Like, even if they can make them miss timing, then like they still go to grave and become all that like just becomes like more Rodent Totems and title summons for you. So going to the boss monsters. So first, this card's insane. 1, 2, 3 Mega Mobius. I was only playing it at 2, but holy cow, this card is good. Like, people have cut effect failure. So unless your opponent is sitting on 4 back row, like, this is going off, and they're not chaining to it. Like, there's not a matchup I don't like it in. Like, at first I was going to cut it to 2 because, like, Mermails, I'm not really sure I like this, but, like, I don't know, you just sack a frog and a rodent totem, like, you blow out Reckless Greeds, you blow out Spheres, you blow out Squalls, like, there's nothing they can do, because, like, you're always tributing a water monster for him, so they can never, like, chain to his effect, and, like, I don't know, like, it's just really hard for a lot of the decks in the meta to play around. Being a 2800 beater against Mermails is, like, pretty relevant against them, so, like, he doesn't have, like, he's excellent against Fire Fist. Against Water, he's, like, less good, but he's, like, also, like, relevant in the Water matchups, and so that's why, like, I'm opting to play 3 of them. Also, he's Water for Title, which is important. I should probably just, like, get him out here now, because he's pretty important boss. Title's a 2600 beater. Basically, I wasn't running him at first, but you read a lot of reports about Mermails and about people complaining about Mermails, because essentially Mermails can, like, a lot of times Mermails just complicate things by having that title engraved that they can just use as the recurring 2600 beaters, so, like, why not do that in Frogs? And the answer is you should do it in Frogs, because recurring 2600 beaters are good, especially when it's, like, exactly, like, in line with what the rest of your deck's doing anyway. So, 1 Dark Dust Spirit, was considering playing 2 because this thing just wins against Boojins, but I don't really see you needing to in the main deck because you can get him back. Like, he always comes back. Rounding out the boss monsters, I've got 2 Obelisk the Tormentor. Now, people think this is kind of a trolly choice. I think this is a particularly relevant choice. Like, it's very hard for decks in the current format to get rid of. Like, particularly Mermails. I don't think Mermails have an out to Obelisk right now that they main deck, except Dark Hole. But, like, Dark Hole is Dark Hole. And I guess Exciton Knight, but if they, like, drag themselves to the point where they're not winning the card advantage game, like, that's not good, because most of your card advantage should be in the graveyard, and thus not, like, able to be counted for Exciton Knight. So 2 Obelisk the Tormentor. The boss monsters are very, like, up to personal opinion. I know a lot of people play Lads, a lot of people play, just other things, and I'm not gonna lie, I haven't tested all the boss monsters. It's something I'm going to, like, keep doing as time goes on. That's something cool about Frogs, is there's, like, so many boss monsters that you can configure and play the deck with that you almost have unlimited possibilities, and none of them are, like, particularly, like, bad. So just a lot of testing that you have to do, and depends on how you want to play the deck too. So going on to the hand traps. 3 Battle Fader. People, like, this is pretty standard. 1 Gores. Gores, I feel like Frogs might be the only deck Gores is relevant in, but he's just a good stall engine. And last but not least, the very new stall engine of the deck, 2 Ghost Tricked Jack Frost. This card's pretty real against, like, the meta right now. He serves 2 important, like, purposes. 1, if an Abyss Dweller attacks you directly, you book him and then put this down, and they can't use their Abyss Dweller against you on their next turn, so all your plays go off. 2, you can always just book a Moon their last attacking monster, set this on your turn, revive Treeborn Frog, flip this up, Exceed him and the Treeborn Frog into the Ghost Trick Exceed, Ghost Trick Dual Hand. That's going to be a 1200 that can have any buddies attacking at given times, and then when they destroy this, like, you get the Jack Frost back. So that's like an insane new stall engine that this deck has. It's part of the reason I picked it up again. You should really test this card if you haven't, because I don't really like Tragodia. I think by the, like, when you drop Tragodia, you've already taken too much damage, so I think you're always going to prefer this to Tragodia, because he saves you the damage and also has that, like, rank 1 synergy, which is going to last longer, and especially to the point where this guy can let you pick him up again. Like, he's just going to do a lot more for you than a Tragodia, especially considering, like, the destructive power, like, that Bear and, like, other decks have. So that's it for the monsters. For the spells, here's something that Lancer Frogs don't do that I never understood. I love 3 Salvage. 3 Salvage, like, every time you have a Swap Frog and a Salvage, like, that's 2 additional Foolish Burials you get. That loads your graveyard even more. When you load your graveyard, you thin your deck. Lets you also pick up Mother Grizzlies and Sea Lancers to keep your combos going. I just really love 3 Salvage. Like, it's never, like, awful unless you've opened, like, a bad hand that you're probably going to lose with anyway. But at the point where, like, if anything, like, if they summon Warning your Swap Frog, like, so many people will summon Warning this card hoping that, like, if they open slow, they will burn traps on Swap Frog to try to slow you down. But if you have Salvage and you can just pick Swap Frog up, like, it just, like, is so, like, good. And I don't know why you wouldn't run it, because there's, like, all it does is set up your graveyard more, and you're running most of your resources out of the graveyard anyway. Also sets you up for Herald plays, which is important. One pod duality, I want to open Swap Frog every game, and I felt like I couldn't do that with the 3 Mother Grizzly, the 3 Dupe Frog, and the 3 Swap Frog. When I play a deck, I want to be able to play that deck each and every game. So if I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I need Swap Frog to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, I'm going to play something to help me get to Swap Frog so I can play Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what I felt was necessary to do. It was just one. I feel like with that one, I've been opening Swap Frog pretty much every game. So that does it. 3 MSTs, just you don't want to lose to something because you didn't run MST. Last but not least, 3 Soul Exchanges. I know a lot of people prefer Enemy Controller to Soul Exchange. I don't, because Soul Exchange helps you when you open slow, but I understand the reasoning behind Enemy Controller, so if you prefer Enemy Controller, I won't argue against you. Finally, the extra deck, kind of a mess, but let me get this. 3 Dolhan, for reasons I explained earlier. Only 1 Dark Mist. He's not really as good right now because Tiger King can negate him and run over him, and I feel like Mermails don't really have a problem getting over him. Sometimes even take over him. Your stall cards, your 3 Gotchi. I don't like Armor Kappa. Some people like Armor Kappa, but I don't. But 3 Gotchi, like, always a good wall for your rodent totems to just go into, because it banishes your frogs, which lets you get your Lancer plays set up, protects your life points, gives your eyes attack, everything good that you want. 2 Slacker Magician for the Treeborn and other, like, Battle Fader play and Ghost Trick play. 2 Herald of Pure Light. This card is actually what makes the deck, in my opinion, like, so much, like, more consistent now, because now if you lose one of your boss monsters, instead of having to dig through your deck for the next one, you just play a Salvage, pick up an extra frog, and then go ahead and trade that for a Herald of Pure Light, and then because usually you'll have an extra swap frog, like, you'll be able to get that frog back in the graveyard. So, like, nothing really lost there, but this lets you, like, reset up Mobius plays that you've already done, reset up Dark Dust Spirits that you lost, reset up Obelisk, which, holy cow, like, after they burn their Dark Hole on Obelisk, I can have another one, like, unless you're playing Magician of Faith, you're kind of done. 2 Downward Magicians, because if you have rank 2s that you've burned up, like main phase 2, this gets to be like a pretty big beater, which means you can force your opponent to waste resources dealing with a beater instead of, like, maybe I, like, already used this. It doesn't really do anything for me at that point. You're probably going to kill it next turn, so why not just throw a Downward Magician on top of it? Have a 2600 beater. Oh, now you have to use resources to deal with it. So, Downward Magician's a very good addition to the deck. Only thing I would add to the extra deck, I would add 2 Daigusto Phoenix if I have them. I don't, so I'm playing a Felgrand in case I get 2 Mega Mobius, but I promise you it never happens, so just always play Daigusto Phoenix and you have them. And then another Dark Mist. This doesn't really happen as much either, because he's not really relevant in a world where you can recycle your boss monsters. Finally, the side deck. I don't have one formally put together. It's always going to depend on your meta. The only thing that I'm going to, like, stress for the side deck is Messenger of Peace continues to be a phenomenal card. In the Lancer Frog side deck, because it lets you stall to all of your other side deck cards. So, like, people have been cutting Messenger of Peace. I'm just going to urge you, like, don't. Messenger of Peace is really good in the side deck. This is good for Mermails. Other than that, like, I play Hand Traps, Max C, DD Crow. DNA Surgery is probably pretty, like, I'd play DNA Surgery too, because you don't want to lose the Spellbooks, and Spellbooks kind of win against this deck. So, in conclusion, I think I've ranted long enough. I missed you guys. I hope you missed me. Please recommend any... this isn't high enough. Please recommend any other budget decks that you want me to go over that don't include, like, anything that's not rank 7 and rank 4, because Dracosack's expensive and Exciton Arknight's expensive. Anything that's not rank 7, rank 4 is currently my project. I'm happy to help you with that. I'm happy to share with you the stuff I'm coming up with, and I'm going to continue showing you decks that I've been working on throughout the rest of the week. So, with that, I will see you guys.